the CHEKInstitute ego building courses that damage your business. So to become a CHEK practitioner now takes 3 to 5 years, and if you do the 3-year process, it's £11,595 for a certificate that's no good for your ego because it's not recognised by doctors, physios, osteopaths, or even the fitness industry, as well as regulated bodies like Ofcom, as well as the government. But you're paying for a private qualification, but nobody knows what it is, and this is where you can really make a big mistake, especially spending that amount of money. So I've had people say to me, other trainers, oh, I'm not a CHEK practitioner, you know more than me, you're better than me. And I'm like, I'm no better than you, mate. I've just spent a lot of time reading and practicing, and it's not about the ego for me. But unfortunately, other practitioners or faculty members are so in their egos that they've just blinded themselves, and they're damaging their own businesses by not being found online for standard searches, and not understanding that CHEK practitioner is only searched for 12 times a month. Personal trainer is searched for 45,000 times a month. And obviously with the seasons, it goes up and down. So why would you even have the ego title of I'm a master CHEK practitioner? Now, I only say it because it's what I've worked for and what I've got. I'm not saying it for my ego benefit. Does that make sense? If people come to see me and they call me and they say, oh, Scott, you're just a fitness instructor or a personal trainer, that's fine. I've got no problem with that. But the thing is, what happens is you gain all this knowledge, which is great, but a lot of it you can't use day to day because clients are very complex, for one, and two, lots of clients, they just want to train. They just want to get out of pain, or they just want to drop body fat so they look better for the beach. They're not necessarily worried about a forward head, an inverted breathing pattern, or anterior pelvic tilt, or muscles that are not firing. So what I do with my clients is that I say, what level are you at? And they say, well, what do you mean? And I'll say, do you want me to go super deep, or do you just want me to train you and help you get out of pain? Oh, just train me, help me get out of pain, Scott. I'm not worried about all that other stuff, but I'll put it in a little bit if I know there's a certain area that I can change by using one of the tools that I learned through the CHEKInstitute. So what is really going on is a lot of the guys, some people will only do level 1, others will go to level 3, but a very, very low amount will go to level 5 or to level 4 because it's extremely intense, it's in depth, and you've got to know your stuff because you have to do loads of case histories that you have to send in. But I always remind myself of where I've come from. I've come from a one-parent family. I've lived on a council estate for many, many years. So I remind myself of that so I don't get over the top of myself type thing. Does that make sense? I always ground myself as well. I remember the time when I couldn't eat. I remember the time when I had to buy second-hand clothes because I couldn't afford new clothes, in which to keep myself grounded, not because of, getting sympathy from people. So what I've really noticed is that the guys that get to level 2 or level 3 or even level 1, they start talking in terminology like they're medical doctors when they're not, or they start talking in religious babble bullshit. So I had somebody say to me, oh, if you expose the institute, you're a witch. And I'm like, I'm not a witch. I'm just saying the truth. And just because nobody else has got the bollocks to do it, and I'm doing it, I'm not a witch. Does that make sense? So they use all these little psycho bullshit stuff to get in your head, or hoping to get in your head. Nothing gets in my head unless I let it in, type thing. So when doing the qualifications, some of the students will start using anatomy and physiology because their ego is so huge, and talking about muscles like they're a physio, and they're not a physio. And I found, like I said to somebody today, when I talk to a client, I find out how they want me to interact with them. Do they want me to tell them that they've got a glute med and a glute max? Because if you say that to somebody that knows nothing about anatomy and physiology, they don't know where the glute med or the glute max is. They don't even know what it is because they've not studied it. So it's really pointless, in my point of view. It's much better to go, see that bum muscle, that here that I'm tapping now, that's your gluteus maximus, and then higher up you've got the glute medius. And if that one is weak, which we've just tested, and it's weak, that's why your leg's not tracking properly, and maybe why you're getting knee pain. Oh, Scott, that makes 100% sense. So I try and laymanize everything, because I try and put myself in the position when I was studying and they were going on about all these anatomy and physiology terms. I've learnt them all now, but it really confused me. And I'm like, why can't they just say the leg muscle? Why can't they just say the hip bone? Why can't they just say, you know, the wrist, instead of being overly technical? And when we're not physios, we're not doctors, I don't see why that terminology has to be there. Does that make sense? Unless it's for your ego. Does that make sense? So when they say online, Pete, you can charge £400 an hour, it's not an hour, it's £400 for 4 hours. So it's £100 an hour. Does that make sense? So they sort of like use trickery to deceive younger up-and-coming students, because they'll look online, oh, I'm a personal trainer, I'm charging £50 an hour, and oh, CHEK is charging £400 an hour. I don't know any CHEK that charges that. Any. Even Angie, who's Paul's wife, doesn't charge that, because you can't, it's not in the real world. And this is the thing that annoys me, is that Paul has said he's got a huge ego, but he's a little man. And this is what I found with little men. They have a massive ego to make up for their height. Does that make sense? And they call it little man syndrome, which is fine. You know what I mean? I've got no problem with it. But if it affects you so much that you can't see what you're doing in public is affecting your brand, like he'd done London Real 13 days ago. I've done a video on it already, and he's saying about he's got 2 wives, or the London Real guy said, oh, you got 2 wives, which means he's admitting that he's a polygamist, which is against the law in the UK and America. So that could cause him some problems. Then the other thing that I don't get is that anything bad that's about him, he talks about it like it's good and there's nothing wrong with it. Like what I've been saying about the tobacco smoking and putting other things in with it. And then there was he spoke about me in a video, but didn't mention my name, but I knew he was talking about me. And he was standing in front of, there's a picture where he's got this work shelf in front of him. And he's got every single concoction on there. I probably counted about 40 different blends of different concoctions that he could add to his tobacco to give him different feelings and different highs. So that just told me that when I saw that really you're being a bit silly, because you're showing that have you got all this, but then you're telling the audience you're not addicted to anything. So if you're not addicted to anything, why would you only have 1 or 2 of that concoction? Why have you got over 50? Yeah, you work with clients, I understand that.
It's 12 o'clock.
It's 12 o'clock. But why would you have that amount? It just doesn't look right. So what I found is that as I've chatted to more and more up and coming CHEK practitioners, some are not in their egos and some are just massively are, and they won't take anybody's input to help them. So I was talking to a guy a couple of weeks ago, and he was saying, oh, I'm this level, but I want to go to this level. But I've been studying for 10 years. So why didn't you do it when you first started 10 years ago and do like I did until I got to level 5? So I didn't understand that. And then they were talking about where they had this issue and can't get rid of the issue, and kept being a victim, in my view. Being in total victim mentality, instead of, like, when I was ill during COVID and I dropped down to 11 stone, I took responsibility. I read the books that Paul recommended again, and then I went to work on my body using one book and then using the Charles Poliquin German volume training in which to get my muscle back. But I wasn't doing it to get for my ego. I was doing it because I love being big and strong. Once you've been big and strong, you don't want to be small and weak. It's just something you won't want to do. And if you're training and you've been working out for 35 years like I have, and you stop training, your whole life falls apart. And if you hear Arnold, Louis, Luferingo, and other elite people that have been training all their lives, they can't live without it. It's like an alcoholic. An alcoholic has to have a drink every weekend or every day or in the afternoon. Somebody that lifts on a regular basis, when they get an illness, it's really hard on that person if they can't train, because you get into the endorphin feeling that you get from training. And then obviously in the summertime, like when I've got a vest top on walking around, you get guys' wives looking at you, you get people making comments and stuff like that. That's great for the ego. But I don't do it for that reason. I do it because I love being in shape. I love feeling healthy. I love feeling strong. Yes, the ego is there to help you push forward. But when it affects the people around you and you stop listening to the people around you, then it's completely wrong in my view. Like, for argument's sake, last year I wanted to get to 190 deadlift, and I put a load of weight on, warmed up, went into the set, went to do the big lift, and only got half the lift up. And something went ding, and I had to drop the bar. So I realised then that I was in my ego because I wanted to do more and more, but my body wasn't ready to do more and more because I should have done more conditioning to get there. Does that make sense? Or when I was doing some heavy bag work, really heavy bag work, so I was really pissed off. And when I go and do heavy bag work, it gets all the stress and the emotion out of me, and I just bang the bag, uppercuts, hooks, headbutt it, knee it, do loads of different things in which to get that pent up energy out of me. And once I've done it, I feel great. So what happened was, this is when I was with my ex-girlfriend Justine. As I jabbed, I slipped and I ripped my tricep here, and that was really painful for about 10 weeks, maybe longer. So then I just started doing leg training one arm, and still training, but obviously you feel a bit disabled because you can't use your arm. So my ex done some acupuncture on it. She'd massage it for me. She's a really good healer, so she managed to help it repair much quicker than what it would normally. So I learned from then to stay out of my ego when I'm in the gym, because when you're in your ego in the gym, that's when you get injured. And the same way when I meet clients, try to be as humble as I can. Yeah, I know a lot of stuff and I can see a lot of stuff, but I try and hold it back because I don't want to scare them. Does that make sense? And I remember Paul saying to us in 2013, do not go big, stay small. Make sure you have a studio or a room in your home where you have a shower, you have your gym area where you can train your clients, so you don't get this massive overhead. He's done a completely opposite. Opened up Heaven House, but remember they're worth an estimated £32 million estimated. So whatever the Heaven costs them is completely nothing because it's a tax. You can get rid of that in tax. Do you know what I mean? As a cost of the facility in which to pay less tax. So I did exactly what he said. I train people in my home. I go to their home or I see them in the park. If I do stuff online, I only do it if the client has been to see me for a few weeks, so I know their body really well and know the great exercises I can give them without them causing a bigger problem. Does that make sense? So it's 100% so important to stay out of your ego. And then you get lots of students where they'll do level 1 and they'll give up because they'll realise it's too in-depth and too deep. Then you get the other students that they want to fast forward the knowledge without actually doing the course. And this really pisses me off because obviously I work really hard with dyslexia to get all the way to the end. And somebody said to me, oh Scott, you're a level 5, you know, what's it saying in the manual level 4 about this situation? And I went, oh, well, I'll tell you that little bit, but I'm not telling you anything else. Oh, but why? Well, I've paid £5,000 to learn all of it. Unless you're going to pay me, it's not free. And obviously, like I was explaining to somebody else, if you don't go through the process of the whole system, like from level 1 to level 5, and say you stop at level 2 or level 1, you've got that much knowledge. And you wouldn't go to university and give up on the second year, would you, if it's 5 years? If you were doing a doctor's degree, which was 6 years, you would go right to the end to make sure that you've got everything, all the tools that you need to have in which to become a registered doctor, being on 100k a year. So this is where the ego can trap you. Does that make sense? Or one of my friends, or somebody said to me, you know, why did you study with the CHEKInstitute? And I went, well, because Paul's got 40 years of experience. I've got 27 or 35 of working out, but not working with people with chronic injuries and chronic issues. So I said, why would you not go to the person that got double the amount of knowledge that you've got and then tap into that and use it in your own practice? And I said, I'm not in my ego to go, I know more than PaulChek. I definitely do not. 1000% do not know as much as that man, because he's read a lot of stuff, worked with a lot of people, and he's 10 years older than me. So that means he's going to be with more knowledge and more understanding. So I thought, well, why did my mate say that? And then I remember little man syndrome, really little guy in fantastic shape, but really little. So he's trying to, you know, say he's bigger with his ego by saying that, oh, you know, why are you doing that? And then I've come across other trainers where they go, oh, I've done a bit of Paul, I've done a bit of this, I've done a bit of that. And then they wonder why they can't get results, because they've not completed anything. Does that make sense as well? So this is where I stayed out of my ego by going, right, I want to go to level 5 because I want to complete everything and have the full knowledge, not only stop at level 1 and then I'm missing level 3, level 4, level 5. Does that make sense? And obviously, obviously, I'm never in my ego with my clients, ever. And the other thing that I think as well, if you're a billionaire or you're royalty who I've worked with, or you're mega, mega famous, I treat you like Joe Bloggs on the street. I don't treat you any differently, because I feel that these people have so many people that walk on eggshells, kiss their asses, and that they want somebody that's just normal, that's not going to do that, that's going to be honest. One of my friends is really close to the Right Said Freds, you know, the pop band, and I said to him, you know, when you meet up with them, you know, do you pay for dinner? He said, yeah, of course I do. Whereas, and that's why they like him, because he's down to earth. He's not thinking, oh, the pop star, he's got millions in the bank, so he should pay and we shouldn't pay. Does that make sense? So my mate's definitely not in his ego at all, even though he's a black belt, second dan in jiu-jitsu. And I really like that. And that's what's really, really important, that when you're doing the CHEK courses, if you're too much in your ego, you will make really stupid fucking decisions, like opening up a practice and you haven't got a client base to support that practice. And one CHEK practitioner done that in central London. I think he had it for about 5 years, which was great, but then he closed down because the funding disappeared. As soon as COVID hit, it hit everybody in the fitness industry. So that was a big mistake. So if he was practicing out of a shed or practicing out of his own home, he probably would have kept the business going for longer. So ego can really make some mistakes. Like in a street fight, if you make a preemptive strike, which you can legally in law, if you make a preemptive strike, it's legal, right? But if you do a preemptive strike and your ego says go and stamp on his head, then that's you in prison, because you've nearly killing the person if you stamp on their head. So that's where the ego can cause a problem, isn't it? Or the same as when I get paid with a client, I don't use that money until that session is done. Does that make sense? So if they pay me 25k, that 25k stays in my bank account. I don't go and buy a new car. I don't go and buy a new sofa or whatever I want to do. I wait until them sessions are signed for, then I spend the money. So that's keeping me out of my ego. That's stopping me from wasting the money and spending it on stupid stuff that I don't really need. Does that make sense? So controlling the ego is so important, and recognizing when you're too in your ego is really important. So let's say you ain't got a pot to piss in and you're doing level 2, you shouldn't be doing level 2. You should only be doing level 2, level 3, level 4, level 5 when you've got a huge amount of income coming in, so you're covering all your bills and you've got nothing to worry about. But some of the students are doing it because they're thinking they're going to get that £400 an hour, which is a total fallacy. Like I said, Angie, Paul's wife, second wife, is not even charging that amount of money. And I know this for a fact because I know guys that are working with her. So always check your ego. Keep it in check. Another friend of mine was so much in his ego, he got drunk and decided to start a fight. When he started a fight, he started it on 3 of the wrong people, so they kicked the fuck out of him. That's the ego controlling you when you've had a drink. And I, as a nightclub bouncer for 16 years, I got a lot of that. Guys would be on drugs or drunk, and you know they can't fight. You could just see it. You could just see it in them, and they're just mouthing off. Goose lock, walk them out, close the door. Or talk them out. I used to talk a lot of people out where I go, come on mate, let's just go to the front door. You know, if you leave now, quietly, I'll let you in tomorrow. But if you want to start a row, you'll be banned for life. It's up to you. All right, mate, yeah, okay, I've been a bit of a twat, yeah, I'm going to go. But obviously you get people that are not reasonable, and the ego has to creep in for you to protect yourself. And the thing that I like about martial artists, the ones that are brilliant at what they do and they're lethal, they never brag about it. The same as the quiet guy, normally is the guy you got to watch out for. The guy that just sits there and watching everything going on. He's the guy that might be doing katas in his bedroom that nobody knows about, or might be doing 50 press-ups every other day, so he's super strong and nobody knows. Does that make sense? So please, always try and stay out of your ego as much as you can, and recognize the people with huge egos, because they can give you totally wrong bum information. And definitely if they're not doing it themselves, like the example of PaulChek telling us to all go small, but now he's living in Heaven House that he says is costing him a fortune when he's got an estimated £32 million in the bank. So it's a complete lie, really. It's just a way of getting sympathy to get more money out of people. I think the Chek family are addicted to money. And that's why they've made the faculty program or the C.H.E.K Academy program so bad, because it's all about constant money. Instead of being about knowledge. Can I help this person? You know, how many people have they got on a what do they call it, where they don't have to pay? Have they got 30 students doing that? Have they got 10 students doing that, where they don't have to pay and they can get to level 5 and they just pay for their food and travel and hotels? I don't think they do that ever, even though they got that huge amount of money sitting in the bank doing nothing, or paying for everything on the interest on it. Yeah, so always watch your ego. It can get you in a lot of trouble. When I ripped that tricep, it was horrible. And what else did I do? It was wrong. Oh, I bought a book for £100, and I didn't have £100 to pay for the £100 book, but my ego wanted me to get it, so I got it, and then I regretted it. So I think it's really important to keep it in check. Yeah, it keeps you alive, but you've still got to keep it in check when it comes to studying and paying for stuff. So I hope you've enjoyed this video about the ego, and don't let your ego make you do multiple courses. Like, I've heard people say, oh, John's doing that, oh, I'm going to do that course. Oh, Dave's doing that, I'm going to do that course. Oh, Peter's doing, I'm going to do that course. And if you have that mentality, one, you won't know what spanner or what tool to use out of your toolbox with the person, and two, it's wiping out your income. And this is the thing with the £322 a month you got to pay to be in the faculty. That's wiping out so many people's bank accounts. But they don't care. Remember, everything's all online now. It's not like you got to go face to face anymore as much. So all they're doing is pressing a button. There you go. You're in the course. Thank you. Give us your money. It's crazy. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please like, please subscribe, please share. We're dropping between 2 and 3 videos a day for probably until the end of the year, maybe longer. I keep getting all this new stuff coming into my mind, and stuff that I remember that was completely wrong, how I was thinking, and I should put it out there to educate people. And the only reason why I'm doing this is to hopefully make the Institute much better, and to make people wake the fuck up, smell the roses, see it for what it really is. It's a certificate that has no value apart from to them, and then they have the cheek to charge you for a license that has even more less value, because nobody will ever ask you for it. And I'm proof of that. I think I've had the license 3 or 4 years in a row. No one's ever asked for it. There's been many times I go to clients and I have a portfolio. Look, I've worked with this star, worked with that royalty, worked with that person, worked with that person. Look at these tests. Oh, don't, Scott, I don't want to see any of that. Let's just pay. I'll just pay you. Let's get started. A bit insulting in a way, but I don't let my ego say that to me. I just go, well, that's how they've been taught by their family. So don't take it as an insult. Does that make sense? Like Charles Parliquin, when he had all the athletes all around the wall in the gym to show what he did. One, it was for ego, definitely. But the other was to show people, look, I'm the best in the world. This is my proof. The same with me, with 175 testimonials on my website. And then I've got 39 in Google. And it's going to start going up dramatically over the next couple of months. Yes, that's great for my ego, but the only reason why I want that is so a client, when they're thinking about booking me, especially if it's somebody really famous, that they're going to look, oh, look at them testimonials. Nobody else has got that online like I have. They may have it in Google, as in the Google business profile, but they won't have it on their website. And I can prove 1000% none of them are fake, they're all real. Real people I've worked with over the years. And I think this is really important, is that I've worked with some famous people, really nice famous people, and the really nice ones are not in their egos. They're grounded. They know that they've got success, they know that they're famous, but they're really, really grounded and they're not in their egos. But the ones that are, I was talking to the butcher about this because I know my butcher really well, and he said that he had to go to Michael Caine's place where he was staying in London. He had to take some food to him. This is when he was a younger butcher. And Michael Caine was really, really lovely with him. But then when he had to go to another celebrity's house, they were really cuntish and arsey with him because they thought they were just entitled. Does that make sense? So the ones that have worked for it, like Michael Caine, but the ones that are born into it, they can be complete arseholes. The same as when I threw out a East Ender, really famous person in a nightclub and said, look, you got to go. Do you know who I am? All this bullshit. And then I had another really famous person I had to throw out because they were being a twat. And, all right, mate, sorry, you know, really quiet, accepted that they've messed up, and then I'm just doing my job. So this is where the ego can rear up and cause different situations. So I hope you've enjoyed this video, 33 minutes long, and I hope you understand the ego a bit more, and where some people can use it to their advantage, and some people will get into a lot of trouble by letting the ego control them. Thanks very much. Bye.